monster famine that wiped out 300,000 people and killed 70% of all the livestock in the country. The only true crop left was fear, and vulture warlords and their thugs preyed on the helpless refugees that crowded into camps. Mogadishu became a lawless city in a lawless land. The rest of the world tried to help and poured food and aid into dying Somalia. The warlords seized the distribution points and looted relief planes as soon as they rolled to a halt. Trucks were ransacked, and everything in them was stolen. The United Nations dispatched some of their Blue Beret peacekeeping troops to protect the humanitarian mission. But it wasn't enough to stop the criminals, and starvation, disease, and the raging civil war gnawed at the decimated survivors. The big fist was applied on December 4th, when the United Nations and the United States agreed to launch a massive American-led military intervention and commit thousands of troops in Operation Restore Hope. At that point, the prime warlords had to move quickly, for whoever was in control when the Americans arrived would likely stay in control. The Cobra's boss, General ID, exchanged smiles and a handshake with his main rival, Ali Mahdi Mohammed, at a photo opportunity that announced both a truce between them and the elimination of the dangerous Green Line. 10,000 supporters attended the ceremony and waved small leafy branches for peace as reporters, photographers, and television cameras recorded the historic moment. Roadblocks were torn down to demonstrate the new sense of unity. Somalia might be saved after all. A member of Mahdi's inner circle, a dog named Abdul Goda Hamoud, had attended the truce ceremony. Hamoud was an educated man with a smooth tongue and often made accusations to the press about General ID. Following the event, Hamoud took advantage of the ceasefire to visit relatives in his old family home, which lay close to the line. ID gave the Cobra an order to carry out an immediate strike, and the young gunman went out alone as darkness fell. The city was full of thieves slinking around in the night, fueled with catatonic cot dreams, stealing and killing at random. Omar did not fear such trash. He moved with purpose. He stepped slowly through the charred ruins of the collapsed cathedral of the Croce del Sud, careful to avoid tiles that might snap beneath his weight. An alley went left, and he edged around the corner, then quickly loped down the short street and hid in a deep doorway where he waited to be sure he was not being stalked. A noisy truck rumbled toward him, so he turned right and went east for 2 blocks, then north for another 2, and closed in on the bullet-pocked, whitewashed walls of his target's home, owned by the Hamoud family. It stood in stark, bright relief from the rubble all around. A single guard was at the front gate, and the lights were bright inside, powered by a generator that growled within the compound. The Cobra had been to this house numerous times in the previous months, scouting the approaches, mentally drawing the layout, and designing 3 escape routes. There had been no doubt that someday he would have to use that knowledge, and now the time had come for a final visit. He jumped, grabbed the top of the rear wall, and levered over, then paused as still as a rock until he was certain that he had not been seen. Everything was as he remembered. The house was in relatively good condition. It had 2 stories that were connected by a set of exterior stairs, and he went up 2 at a time and carefully opened the unlocked door at the top. It put him in a short hallway. Voices and laughter rose from downstairs, where the Hamoud family was enjoying this rare evening together. Omar unlimbered his Kalashnikov and thumbed off the safety. 4 women and 5 men of varying ages, the eldest being the warlord's advisor, Abdul Goda Hamoud, were seated on pillows and carpets in the main room, drinking tea and eating from stacks of food on bright trays. The Cobra stepped out, and his first steady sweep of bullets went left to right in a fusillade that killed or wounded most of them. Omar swapped out magazines, went to single shot, and caught one that was trying to crawl away, and another, stupidly, trying to hide behind a pillow. Then he flipped the selector back to full automatic fire when the front door opened and the guard dashed in, only to be hammered down in the